Samsung is a great company to work for, and getting a job there is highly competitive, but not for you. Because in today's video, I'm about to give you 7 questions you will be asked in your interview with Samsung, and I'm going to teach you from a recruiter's perspective how to answer them to stand out from your competition. Let's go. Now this video is the first in a series of videos that are going to help you land a job with Samsung. So after you're done with this one, make sure you go and watch the others. Now the first question that you're going to be asked when you interview with Samsung is, what is the most important project you have been a part of and why? Now this reminds me of interviewing with Tesla and SpaceX, because they ask you a lot about what your biggest projects are and they expect you to be able to speak to them. So this is a huge opportunity. First and foremost, you want to make sure that it is something substantial, right? When they ask you, what are you most proud of? It can't be a small project. It has to be something that made a significant impact. So as you're looking through your career and you're deciding, what do I want to make mention of? Make sure it's something significant. Additionally, it is really important to make sure that it was actually something you did. One of the mistakes people make is they choose a project that they didn't lead or they weren't a part of, but they were adjacent to. And they go, wow, I wasn't involved with this, but this is a really good project that one of my coworkers did, and I think I can use this for my example. Besides the lack of integrity in doing that, you also might not be able to speak to some of the details. And in companies like this, when they ask you, what is your most significant achievement, or what is a project you are most proud of, they're going to ask you detail after detail after detail. And in order to be able to stand out as a great candidate, you need to be able to answer these. Another thing that's really important here is knowing that this is coming. You need to familiarize yourself with the details. How long did this project go on? What was the cost savings associated with this project? How many people were involved? If you could redo this project, what would you change to make it more effective or efficient? Make sure that you know these details and you keep digging down so that you're as familiar as possible. That way you can speak to it with confidence and you can come off as a polished candidate. Lastly, it's a big plus here if it can be related to something in the job description, right? If you can tie it in to something that is in the job description that you know they are looking for, it's going to make you come off as a candidate who is very well aligned to the opening that you're interviewing for. The next question they might ask you in your interview are, what do you do to distinguish yourself from other people in your profession, or something to that degree? Now, this is a question that's really interesting because it's basically asking you, how are you different and what do you do to make sure you stand out? Now, there's a lot of things that you can say here that are going to be positive. The worst thing is just not being prepared, but saying things like, I'm a lifelong learner, or I'm someone who is a strong team player, or I'm someone who is keeping up with technologies as it's advancing outside of work to make sure that I'm keeping myself up to date. These are all things that come off as impressive. So pick something that is true to you, needs to be authentic, but be prepared to speak to this. This is one of those things where if you don't have an example, it's going to look bad. But as long as you have one, you've rehearsed it, and you're ready to speak to it in an intelligent way, you'll nail it. The next question is, what do you know about Samsung? This is actually really common. When I used to be a corporate recruiter, I would ask people, what do you know about our company? And it was one of the first things I did. And the reason I did it is because you wanted to see, is this interview important to them? Are they doing research on our organization? Are they, at a bare minimum, well-informed? That's really important. So you want to make sure you have an answer here. I'm going to drop this link right here on the screen. You can actually type this in, or you can go Samsung About Us, and you can go to their website, and I would spend 5 to 10 minutes poking around there. And then you can craft an answer that shows that you've done your research, you're interested in the company, you're prepared. Everybody likes a prepared candidate. If you don't have a great answer here, it's going to come off like you didn't prioritize this interview. But if you spend 5 to 10 minutes looking at it and learning about what they do, why they do it, it's going to be really easy to answer this. In terms of what you specifically want to talk about, I think it's always easy to talk about the company's products and services, to talk about their core values, and to talk about their initiatives in the future. If you can touch on a few of those things and do it in less than 60 seconds, you'll answer this question great. The next question is a great one. It's, why do you want to work at Samsung? This is a really important question because if you can't answer this question in a passionate, effective way, you might get beaten out by another similarly qualified candidate who just has a little bit more enthusiasm about why Samsung's matters to them. Now, whenever you're answering a question, why do you want to work here? The key to that is using the 50-50 rule. Now, the 50-50 rule is a rule that states whenever you answer this question, the first 50% of your answer needs to be about the organization. So why is the organization compelling to you? Is it their culture? Is it their products? Are you someone who has used them? Is it how they're contributing back to the environment? There are all kinds of things that you can do to answer this. And then the second 50% needs to be about why the job is a great fit for you. So right now, at this point in your career, why is it a great fit for you and why should they hire you? If you can do these two things, you will nail it. This next question is a really interesting one. It says, tell us about a time that you mentored a new teammate. How did you go about doing that? Now, what does this tell you? I always tell people when you interview with a company and they ask you questions, one of the things you want to be thinking, when you have a moment here or there, is why? Why would they ask me that? And clearly here, it's important because they care about being a good teammate. They care about how you contribute to other people being ramped up, being effective members of the team. So, this is one of those questions where you want to be able to think back and talk about somebody who is new, coming to the organization, and how you went maybe above and beyond. Maybe it wasn't your responsibility, but you saw there was an opportunity and you pursued it and you helped them get ramped up to speed. Maybe talk about how you enjoy doing things like this, right? Say, this is the type of thing I love doing. I love mentoring and I love helping people. I appreciate that opportunity. Why? Because they want people who are going to help people. If they're asking you, give us an example of a time when, that means they want to see that type of behavior demonstrated. So if you enjoy it, for them, it's going to make you come off as someone who is more likely to do these things, the things they want to see in the future. Great way to answer this question. The next question is a godsend. It's a great question to get, and it's tell me about something that isn't on your resume. This is an amazing opportunity. It's not every interview you get a blank canvas like this where they go, hey, say something impressive about you. But that's what it is here. Now, there are a lot of different things you can do to answer this question, but here's what I would do. I would have teed up in my mind a few different things that I've accomplished in my career that are significant, that are impressive, and that are related to the job. So that if you get an opportunity like this, you're able to talk about it. This is something that I call creating an impact list, just thinking about the most impressive thing you've done at every stop in your career up to this point, and then being able to tell it in extreme detail so they understand your contribution in previous roles. So when they give you an opportunity to do this, think about something that isn't on your resume, that isn't as, maybe it's on your resume, but only in small detail. And this is an opportunity for you to dive deep and truly show them the impact of what you've done. An important factor here, do not go on too long. It is really easy to get off on a tangent and start talking, and the next thing you know, it's 4, 5, 6 minutes. You still need to be concise and have economy of words. So a good duration of time might be 60 to 120 seconds. Make sure you are thorough and detailed in that time. And again, bonus points if it's related to one of the things you're going to need to do in this job. Great opportunity to demonstrate alignment. The next question here is, they say, in 1 minute, tell me about your work history. This is basically tell me about yourself, right? So this might be the first question, could be the last question. And this is not an opportunity for you to just tell them everything and anything about you, right? You want to talk about the job and you want to give them cliff notes of the different things you've done in your career. And ideally, what you were doing is you were picking different pieces of the different roles you've had as they relate to this job. And the whole point of this is to tell a story of why you were a great fit for this role. So when you're answering this question, you need to view it through the lens of the job description. What are the things that you need to do in this job? Okay, well, pick out the different things along your path, along your career journey that have positioned you to succeed in this role. And 45 to 90 seconds, you need to go through and tell them blank, 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 blank. Tell them I did this in this role. This is where I learned how to do this. My main responsibilities were this, and I was able to blank, right? You want to take them through the stops, but highlight what your specific contributions were and specifically how they're related to this role and how they have made you a great fit for this position. Now, one of the things you need to be ready to talk about in your interview is you need to be able to answer behavioral interview questions. They are very challenging because you need to recall something and then you need to answer it, but they're also incredibly common. So I made a separate video right here with some of the actual behavioral interview questions they are going to ask you, and I'm going to teach you how to answer them so you absolutely crush them. So I am done here, but I'll see you over there.